The spotlight burned hotter than Emma Jackson expected. She stood in the Grand Metropolitan's grand ballroom, a sea of suits and ties staring her down. Crystal chandeliers glittered overhead, casting flecks of light across the polished mahogany tables. The air smelled of expensive cologne and ambition, the kind of room where billion-dollar deals were sealed over bourbon. And here she was, a 27-year-old black woman, hair neatly braided, wearing a blazer she'd bought on clearance at Target, about to pitch a tech breakthrough to a room full of investors who probably spent more on their watches than she made in a year. Her hands trembled as she gripped the podium. The screen behind her glowed with the TechBridge Solutions logo, and her presentation was queued up an AI interface that could translate American Sign Language in real time, bridging the gap between the deaf and hearing worlds. Emma's voice cracked as she started. 18 months ago, I was scrubbing toilets in this very hotel. So yeah, I'm as shocked as you that I'm standing here. A ripple of laughter broke the tension, but not enough. She could feel the eyes sizing her up, the unspoken questions hanging in the air. Who the hell is she? What's a maid doing up there? Her stomach churned, but she pushed on, her fingers dancing through a quick ASL phrase, a story about her brother, Marcus, who'd lost his hearing at 12. This tech isn't just code, she said, signing as she spoke. It's about making sure kids like Marcus aren't left out of the conversation. It's about connection. The room went quiet, then erupted in applause. Emma's eyes flicked to the front row, where Caleb Morgan sat. The 33-year-old CEO of TechBridge Solutions leaned forward, his sharp jawline softened by a proud smile, his gray eyes locked on hers. And for a split second, the world shrank to just the two of them. She remembered the first time those eyes had seen her not as a housekeeper, but as someone who could change everything. 18 months ago, I was invisible, she thought, her heart pounding. How the hell did I get here? Emma Jackson pushed her cleaning cart down the marble corridor of the Grand Metropolitan Hotel, the wheels squeaking like they had a personal vendetta. It was 6:15 a.m., and Philadelphia was just waking up outside the floor-to-ceiling windows. The city skyline glittered under a gray dawn, but Emma barely noticed. Her uniform was crisp, her name tag pinned straight, but her eyes were heavy from another late night helping Marcus with his calculus homework. The kid was a genius with numbers, but he'd argue with a goddamn wall if you let him. The Grand Metropolitan was the kind of place where the rich and powerful came to feel richer and more powerful. The lobby smelled like fresh lilies and money, with gold accents on every surface and a grand piano that nobody ever played. Emma's job was to keep it spotless bathrooms, suites, conference rooms, you name it, to the executives rushing past in their tailored suits. She was part of the scenery, no more noticeable than the imported rugs or the overpriced coffee in the cafe. Invisible. And most days, she was fine with that. It was honest work, and it kept the lights on at home. Home was a cramped two-bedroom apartment in North Philly, where Emma lived with her mom, Diane, and Marcus. Diane's diabetes had gotten worse over the years, and the medical bills piled up faster than Emma could pay them. Marcus, at 18, was a senior in high school, dreaming of engineering school and coding apps in his spare time. He'd lost his hearing in a car accident 6 years ago, and Emma had learned ASL to be his bridge to the world. She'd planned to become a certified interpreter, maybe teach at a deaf school. But life had other plans. when Diane's health tanked and their dad bailed. Emma dropped out of college in her final semester. The hotel job paid the bills barely. Dreams didn't. She parked her cart outside room 4247, an executive suite on the 42nd floor. The name on the reservation read, Caleb Morgan, CEO, TechBridge Solutions. She'd seen his type before young. Rich, probably an asshole. She knocked twice. Called out. Housekeeping, and got no response. Her master key clicked in the lock, and she stepped inside. The suite was pristine, like nobody had slept there. A closed laptop sat on the mahogany desk, next to a single coffee cup, cold and half empty. The air smelled faintly of cedar and something expensive cologne, maybe. Emma started her routine, fluffed the pillows, checked the towels, wiped down the already spotless counters. She was halfway through restocking the minibar when she noticed movement on the private balcony. A man stood with his back to the glass door, shoulders hunched against the morning chill. His dark hair was mussed, and his white dress shirt was untucked, like he'd been up all night. Emma froze, her hand on a tiny bottle of vodka. She recognized him from the Forbes article taped to the break-room fridge. Caleb Morgan, tech wunderkind, worth hundreds of millions. His company made AI-powered hearing aids that had changed lives. But right now, he looked like a guy who'd just lost a fight with his own head. She should have left. Invisible people didn't interrupt CEOs on balconies. But then she saw his hands move a clumsy, half-assed ASL gesture. It was rough, like he hadn't signed in years. But she knew it instantly, the sign for help. Her heart skipped. Without thinking, she tapped on the glass. Caleb spun around, startled. His gray eyes were bloodshot, but sharp, like he could see right through her. For a moment, they just stared her in her faded uniform, him in his wrinkled shirt, the city sprawling behind them. Then Emma raised her hands and signed, slow and clear. "Good morning. You okay?" His face changed, like a switch had flipped. Surprise. Then something deeper, relief. Maybe. He signed back. Haltingly, "I'm fine. Thanks." But his eyes said otherwise. He slid the door open. Stepping inside. "You know ASL," he said, his voice low, like he was testing her. "Yeah," Emma said, her cheeks warming. "My brother's deaf. I learned for him." Caleb nodded, leaning against the desk. "That's rare. Most people don't bother." He paused, studying her. "What's your name, Emma Jackson?" She braced for the usual dismissal, the polite nod before he went back to his million-dollar life. Instead, he smiled, a real one. Not the fake shit she got from most guests. "Caleb Morgan. Nice to meet you. Emma. Sorry for the mess." He gestured vaguely at the untouched room. She snorted. "Mess. This place is cleaner than my apartment." "You sure you even slept here?" He laughed. And damn, it was a good laugh, warm, unguarded. "Didn't sleep much. No, too much on my mind." Emma didn't know what to say to that. CEOs didn't spill their guts to housekeepers. She grabbed her cart, ready to bolt. But he stopped her. "Hey, wait. You ever think about doing more with your signing, like, professionally? She blinked. Yeah. Once upon a time. But life's a bitch. You know, plans change. He nodded. Like he got it. Life's a bitch. All right. Listen, my company's working on some tech for the deaf community. We could use someone like you, someone who actually gets it. You interested in consulting? Emma's jaw dropped. Me? I'm just the fucking maid. Caleb's smile widened. And I'm just a guy who sees you're more than that. Think about it. I'll be here a few more days. He handed her a business card, his fingers brushing hers for half a second too long. She took it, her head spinning. Yeah, okay. I'll think about it. As she pushed her card out, she glanced back. Caleb was watching her, and for the first time in years, she didn't feel invisible. Back in the service corridor, Emma leaned against the wall, staring at the card. Caleb Morgan, CEO, TechBridge Solutions. What the hell was that? Was he serious? Or was this some rich guy bullshit to make himself feel good? She shoved the card in her pocket and got back to work. But her mind wouldn't quit. Consulting her. She hadn't touched a textbook in years. All she knew was ASL and how to get red wine stains out of white sheets. At lunch, she sat in the break room with Lila Torres, her best friend and the hotel's sauciest chef. Lila was 29, Puerto Rican, with a laugh that could wake the dead and a mouth that didn't know the word filter. She was chopping onions for the evening service, her knife flying like she was auditioning for a cooking show. So, spill the tea, Lila said, not looking up. Why you looking like you just won the lottery and got mugged at the same time? Emma sighed, pulling out the card. Some CEO guy wants me to consult for his tech company. Says I'm good with ASL. Lila's knife stopped mid-chop. Shut the fuck up. Fuck. A CEO. Is he hot, Lila? Focus. This is serious. He thinks I can help with their AI or some shit, but I'm not qualified. I'm a goddamn housekeeper. Girl, you're fluent in ASL, which is more than most of those tech bros can say, and you're smart as hell. What's the guy's name? Caleb Morgan. TechBridge Solutions. Lila's eyes widened. Holy shit. Emma. That's the guy from Forbes. He's, like, stupid rich, and fine as hell. You gotta do this. Emma groaned. What if I fuck it up? I don't know anything about tech. And what if he's just, I don't know, playing me? Lila snorted. Playing you? For what? Free room service? Take the damn shot. Emma, you've been stuck in this shithole long enough. Before Emma could argue, Mrs. June Hall walked in. At 68, June was a legend at the Grand Metropolitan, 32 years and counting. With a no-nonsense vibe and a heart bigger than the hotel itself. She was black, like Emma, and had seen enough to know when someone was destined for more. What's this I hear about you turning down opportunities? June said. Hands on her hips. Emma rolled her eyes. It's not like that. Mrs. Hall, I don't belong in that world. June sat across from her, her eyes soft but firm. Child, I've seen a lot of folks come through this hotel. Most of them stay invisible 'cause they let other people tell them they are. You got something special, Emma. Don't let fear fuck it up. Emma bit her lip, the card burning a hole in her pocket. Maybe they were right. Maybe this was her shot. That evening. Emma sat at the kitchen table in their apartment, the card in front of her like a dare. Marcus was across from her, headphones on, coding on his beat-up laptop. The place smelled like Diane's cornbread. Cooling on the counter. Their mom was at her part-time job, leaving the siblings to their usual routine takeout, homework, and signing shit talk. Marcus glanced up. Catching her staring at the card, he signed. "What's up? You look weird." Emma sighed. Signing back. "Got offered a job today. Some tech guy wants me to help with ASL stuff." His eyes lit up. "That's dope. Who's the guy?" "Some CEO. Caleb Morgan." "Probably bullshit. Though." Marcus grinned. "Signing bullshit. Or you're just scared if he's legit. You gotta do it. You're like the ASL queen." She laughed, tossing a napkin at him. "Queen of what laundry? Queen of kicking ass." He signed, dodging the napkin. "Seriously, Em, you've been carrying me and Mom forever. Take a shot for you." Emma looked at the card again, her throat tight. Marcus was right. She'd put her dreams on hold for them. Maybe it was time to stop running. The next morning, Emma was back on the 42nd floor, her cart loaded with fresh towels. She'd barely slept, replaying Caleb's words. "We could use someone like you." She was mopping the floor outside room 4247 when the door opened. And there he was, Caleb, in a fresh suit, looking like he'd just stepped out of a GQ ad. Her mop slipped, and a bucket of soapy water splashed across the marble. "Shit," Emma yelped, dropping to her knees to clean it up. "I'm so sorry." "Mr. Morgan." Caleb laughed, grabbing a towel from her cart. "Relax. It's just water. Let me help." She stared as he knelt beside her, wiping the floor like it was no big deal. Their hands brushed, and her face heated up. "You don't have to do that," she muttered. "I want to," he said, his voice low. He sat back on his heels, looking at her. "So, you think about my offer?" Emma's heart raced. "Yeah, I don't know. I'm not exactly a tech genius. You don't need to be. You know ASL, and you know what it's like to live with someone who's deaf. That's what we need." He paused, his eyes searching hers. "Come by our office tomorrow. No pressure. Just see what we're about." She swallowed hard. "Okay. I'll come." "Good." He stood, offering her a hand. She took it, her skin tingling where his fingers touched hers. "See you tomorrow, Emma." As he walked away, she clutched the mop, her head spinning. What the fuck am I getting myself into? If that moment gave you chills like it did me, stick around for Emma's wild ride. Hit that subscribe button and drop a comment. What would you do if someone saw your hidden talent? Let's talk. Emma Jackson stood in front of the cracked mirror in the Grand Metropolitan's employee break room, her reflection staring back like it was judging her. Her braids were tight, her uniform pressed, but her eyes were tired, carrying the weight of a sleepless night. Caleb Morgan's business card sat heavy in her pocket, its edges worn from her fidgeting, consulting for a tech company. Me. The idea was fucking insane. She was a housekeeper, not some Silicon Valley hotshot. But his words kept looping in her head. We could use someone like you." She splashed cold water on her face, muttering, "Get it together, Emma. This is some rich guy bullshit, and you're not falling for it." But deep down, a tiny spark of hope flickered, the kind she hadn't felt since she'd dropped out of college. What if this was real? What if she could be more than the invisible woman pushing a cleaning cart? The break room door swung open, and Lila Torres strutted in, her chef's coat splattered with tomato sauce. "Yo, what's with the face?" Lila asked, tossing her knife onto the counter with a clatter. "You look like you just got dumped by a dude you didn't even date." Emma snorted, drying her hands on a paper towel. "Not dumped, just freaking out. That CEO guy. Caleb, he wants me to come by his office today. Talk about that consulting gig." Lila's eyebrows shot up. "Hold the fuck up. You're telling me Mr. Forbes' cover boy is still on your case, girl? You better jump on that job and him, if you're smart." "Lila, chill," Emma said, but she couldn't help a laugh. "It's not like that. He's just, I don't know, impressed with my ASL or some shit. But I'm not qualified. I don't even have a degree." Lila leaned against the counter, crossing her arms. "And you know more about sign language than half the PhDs out there. You're out here signing with Marcus like it's your damn job. What's the problem?" "The problem is, I'm a housekeeper, not a tech nerd. What if I fuck this up? What if he's just playing me to feel good about helping the poor black girl?" Emma's voice cracked, and she hated it. She wasn't the type to get soft, but the doubt was eating her alive. Lila's face softened, but her tone stayed sharp. "Listen, Emma, you've been carrying your whole damn family on your back. You're smarter than you give yourself credit for. If this dude sees something in you, maybe it's time you see it too. Now go to that meeting before I drag you there myself." Emma sighed, tossing the paper towel in the trash. "Fine, but if this blows up in my face, I'm blaming you." "Deal," Lila said with a grin. "And if you bang the CEO, I want details." Emma flipped her off, laughing as she headed back to her cart. But the laughter faded fast. Lila made it sound easy, but stepping into Caleb's world felt like walking into a lion's den with nothing but a mop. The Grand Metropolitan's executive floors were a different beast from the guest rooms. Up here, on the 47th floor, everything was bigger, quieter, more expensive. The air smelled like leather and ambition, and the carpet was so plush, Emma's sneakers sank into it. She'd been summoned by Chen, the hotel's operations manager, and her stomach was doing flips. Housekeepers didn't get called to the executive offices unless something went seriously wrong. Sarah's office was all glass and steel, with a view of Philly that made Emma's apartment look like a shoebox. Sarah sat behind her desk, her black hair pulled into a severe bun, her eyes sharp enough to cut. At 35, she ran the hotel like a dictator, and Emma had always stayed on her good side until now. "Emma?" Sarah said. Her voice clipped. "I heard you've been fraternizing with a guest, Mr. Morgan. Specifically." Emma's heart sank. "It's not like that. Ms. Chen. He just asked me about my ASL skills. For his company." Sarah raised an eyebrow, leaning back in her chair. "Is that so? Because I've seen girls like you get chewed up by men like him. They dangle opportunities, make promises, then leave you high and dry. You're out of your damn league. Emma, stick to what you know." The words hit like a slap. Emma clenched her fists, her nails digging into her palms. With all due respect, ma'am, I'm not your damn cautionary tale. He offered me a job, not a date. Sarah's lips thinned. A job, you're a housekeeper. Emma, you don't have the education or the polish for that world. Don't be stupid. Emma's blood boiled, but she kept her voice steady. I'm not stupid, and I'm not saying yes yet, but I'm not saying no just because you think I should. Sarah stared at her, like she was seeing Emma for the first time. Fine. But don't come crying to me when it falls apart, and don't let this distraction interfere with your work. You're on thin ice. Emma nodded, her jaw tight, and walked out. The elevator ride down felt like a descent into hell. Sarah's words echoed her own fears. You're out of your league. You're nothing. By the time she reached the service corridor, she was shaking, ready to toss Caleb's card in the trash and forget the whole thing. But then, Mrs. June Hall found her, leaning against a stack of folded towels like she'd been caught stealing. June's eyes narrowed. What's got you looking like somebody kicked your puppy? Emma spilled everything, Sarah's warning. Her own doubts. The fear of fucking it all up. June listened. Her face unreadable. Then put a hand on Emma's shoulder. Child, I've been in this game 32 years. I've seen folks like Sarah try to keep people like us in our place. That woman's scared you'll outshine her. And that Caleb, he didn't pick you out of pity. He saw something real. The question is, are you brave enough to believe him? Emma swallowed hard, June's words sinking in. What if I'm not? Then you'll stay invisible, June said, not unkindly, and you're too damn good for that. That afternoon, Emma stood outside TechBridge Solutions' temporary office in a downtown high-rise. She'd swapped her uniform for jeans and a blouse Lila had lent her, but she still felt like an imposter. The lobby was all glass and chrome, with a receptionist who looked like she'd stepped out of a fashion magazine. Emma's stomach churned as she rode the elevator to the 15th floor, clutching Caleb's card like a lifeline. The TechBridge office was chaos in the best way, whiteboards covered in diagrams, computers humming, and a dozen people talking over each other. Caleb was in the middle of it, sleeves rolled up, pointing at a screen. He looked up as Emma walked in, and his face lit up like she was the best thing he'd seen all day. Emma, you made it. He waved her over, ignoring the curious stares from his team. Guys, this is Emma Jackson. She's got more real-world ASL experience than all of us combined. Emma's cheeks burned as a few people nodded, but one guy, tall, white, with a smug grin, leaned back in his chair. No offense, but what's your background? You got a degree in comp sci or something? Caleb shot him a look. James, chill. Emma's here because she knows what we're missing. Let's show her the interface. They pulled up a demo of their AI, which was supposed to recognize ASL gestures and translate them to text or speech. Emma watched as a test video played a signer moving through basic phrases. The AI got about 70% of it right, but it butchered the nuances, like mixing up happy and excited. She pointed it out, signing the difference. Your system's reading the hand shape, but missing the facial expression. In ASL, that's half the damn language. Caleb's eyes widened. Holy shit. You're right. We've been so focused on the tech, we forgot the human part. Can you walk us through more? For the next hour. Emma forgot her nerves. She signed. Explained. Even laughed when Caleb tried to mimic her and ended up looking like he was swatting flies. James stayed quiet. but his smirk said he wasn't impressed. Emma didn't care. For the first time in years, she felt like she belonged somewhere. It was past 8 p.m. when the office cleared out, leaving just Emma and Caleb. They were still tweaking the interface, papers and empty coffee cups scattered across the table. The city lights sparkled through the window, and the air felt charged, like something big was about to happen. "You're a natural at this," Caleb said, leaning back in his chair. "I knew you'd be good, but damn, you're blowing us away." Emma blushed, tucking a braid behind her ear. "Don't gas me up. I'm just pointing out the obvious." "No, you're not." He leaned forward, his voice low. "You see things we don't. That's why I need you on this." Her heart raced, and not just from the compliment. He was close, too close, his gray eyes locked on hers, his cologne filling the space between them. "Caleb, I'm not sure I'm cut out for this. I mean, look at me. I'm a fucking housekeeper, and I'm a guy who used to stock shelves at Best Buy." He said, his smile soft. "You think I was born in a suit? I built this from nothing, Emma. And I'm telling you, you've got what it takes." She wanted to argue, but his words hit deep. And then, without warning, he reached out, his hand brushing hers. The touch was electric, and before she could think, he was standing, pulling her to her feet. "Fuck it," he muttered. And then his lips were on hers. The kiss was hungry, desperate, like they'd both been holding back too long. Emma's hands found his chest, his heart pounding under her palms. He backed her against the table, papers crinkling under her, his hands on her waist. She gasped into his mouth, thinking, "This is so fucking wrong, but damn, it feels right." His tongue grazed hers, and her whole body lit up, heat pooling in her core. Then a knock on the door shattered the moment. They sprang apart, breathless, as a janitor poked his head in. You guys need me to come back." "Nope. We're good," Caleb said, his voice too high. The janitor shrugged and left, and Emma buried her face in her hands, laughing despite herself. "Shit," she said, smoothing her blouse. "I shouldn't have done that." Caleb ran a hand through his hair, looking just as rattled. "Yeah, me neither. But you're driving me crazy." "Emma." She shook her head, grabbing her bag. "You're not making my life easier. Mr. CEO, I gotta go." He caught her wrist, gentle but firm. "Tomorrow. Come back. Please." She nodded, her lips still tingling. Tomorrow. Back home. Emma collapsed onto the couch, her mind a mess. Marcus was at the kitchen table, headphones on, coding like his life depended on it. He glanced up. Signing. "How'd it go?" "You look like you got hit by a truck." She laughed, signing back. "It was intense. They want me to keep helping, but I don't know. Marcus. What if I'm not good enough?" He set his laptop down, his face serious. "You're good enough for me, for Mom, for anyone. Don't let some tech bros make you feel small." Emma's throat tightened. "You're too damn smart for your own good, kid," she said aloud. ruffling his hair. He swatted her hand away, grinning. But as she lay in bed that night, Sarah's words crept back. "You're out of your league." And then there was Caleb, his kiss, his belief in her, his fucking everything. She wanted to believe him. But the doubt was a heavy bitch, and it wasn't letting go. The next morning, Emma was back at the hotel, scrubbing a bathroom on the 40th floor. Her phone buzzed a text from Caleb. "You killed it yesterday. Ready for round 2. She smiled, then froze as Sarah appeared in the doorway, her arms crossed. "I hear you've been spending time with Mr. Morgan's team," Sarah said, her tone icy. "Don't think I won't notice if your work slips." "Emma, you're replaceable." Emma stood, wiping her hands on her apron. "I'm doing my job, Ms. Chen, and I'm not doing anything wrong." Sarah stepped closer, her voice low. "You're playing a dangerous game. Men like him don't keep girls like you around for long. Don't be naive." Emma's blood boiled, but before she could snap back, her phone buzzed again. Another text from Caleb. "Need you at the office ASAP. James is being a dick, and we need your brain." She looked at Sarah, then at the phone. Fuck it. She wasn't invisible anymore. "I'll be here tomorrow." "Ms. Chen," she said, her voice steady. "But right now, I've got somewhere to be." As she walked away, Sarah's glare burned into her back. Emma didn't care. She was done letting anyone tell her who she could be. Emma Jackson stepped off the elevator into TechBridge Solutions' chaotic office, her stomach a knot of nerves and adrenaline. The place was a hive of activity coders hunched over laptops, whiteboards scribbled with equations, and the faint smell of burnt coffee lingering in the air. She'd been coming here part-time for a week now, squeezing in hours after her hotel shifts. But every time she walked through those glass doors, she felt like an imposter. Her borrowed blouse and jeans didn't exactly scream tech genius, and the way James, the smug-ass engineer, kept side-eyeing her didn't help. Caleb Morgan was at the center of the storm, his sleeves rolled up, arguing with a guy in a hoodie about some algorithm. When he saw Emma, his face broke into a grin that made her heart do a stupid flip. "Emma, thank God you're here. We're drowning," she snorted, dropping her bag on a chair. "Drowning y'all got a room full of brainiacs, and you need the maid to save your ass." He laughed, the sound warm and easy. "Hell yeah, we do. You caught shit in 10 minutes that we missed for weeks. Come look at this." He led her to a monitor displaying their AI interface, the one supposed to translate ASL in real time. The team had been tweaking it, but it was still a hot mess, missing nuances, misreading gestures, and generally pissing off the beta testers. Emma leaned in, her eyes scanning the test footage. A signer was moving through a sentence, but the AI spat out gibberish, mixing up family with friend. "Your system's blind to regional signs," she said, signing the difference to show him. "In Philly, we sign family like this, but your AI's stuck on the textbook version, and it's not catching the speed. Real people don't sign like robots." Caleb's jaw dropped. "Holy fuck, that's it. We've been training it on formal ASL, not how people actually talk." James, you hear this, James, leaning against a desk with his arms crossed, didn't look impressed. "Sure, but that's a data problem. We'd need months to retrain the model." "No offense, Emma, But you don't get how this works. Emma bristled, but kept her cool. No offense. James, but I get how ASL works. Your AI's useless if it can't understand my brother. Fix the data, or you're just jerking off with code. The room went quiet. A few coders stifling laughs. Caleb clapped his hands, grinning. She's right. Let's pull new datasets, community videos, real conversations. Emma, can you source some bet? She said, ignoring James's scowl. For the next 2 hours, she was in her element, pulling up YouTube channels and deaf community forums, showing the team how real ASL flowed. She signed with a dancer's grace, explaining context and culture. And for once, she didn't feel like the odd one out. Even the hoodie guy, Mike, she learned, started asking her questions. His skepticism replaced with genuine interest. By the time they broke for lunch, Caleb pulled her aside. You're a goddamn game changer. Emma, I'm serious. You're not just helping, you're leading. Her cheeks warmed, but she waved him off. Don't gas me up. Morgan, I'm just doing what you asked. He stepped closer, his voice low. I'm not gassing you up. I see you, Emma, and I'm not the only one. Her breath caught. His gray eyes were intense, and the memory of their kiss last week burned in her mind. She wanted to say something snarky, but all she managed was, yeah. Well, thanks. He smiled, like he knew she was flustered, and let her go. But as she grabbed a sandwich from the break room, her head was spinning. Caleb wasn't just her boss or whatever the hell he was. He was trouble, the kind that could break her heart and her dreams in one shot. Back at the Grand Metropolitan, Emma's hotel shift was a grind. Her arms ached from scrubbing tiles, and her mood wasn't helped by a guest who'd left a half-eaten burger on the bathroom counter. Fucking animals, she muttered, tossing it in the trash. The worst part was the whispers she'd caught 2 concierges gossiping about her side hustle with Caleb, their tones dripping with judgment. One of them, a white girl named Brittany, had even asked, "So, you're like..." His diversity project now, Emma had bitten her tongue, but it stung. Being a black woman in a place like this meant constant scrutiny, and her braids and sneakers didn't exactly blend in with the hotel's polished vibe. She'd always prided herself on doing her job well, but now it felt like every move was under a microscope. Lila caught her in the service corridor, a tray of empanadas balanced on her hip. Yo, you look like you're about to punch a wall. What's good? Emma sighed, leaning against her cot. Just everything. Work's kicking my ass. Sarah's on my case. And now people are talking shit about me and Caleb, like I'm his fucking charity case. Lila's eyes narrowed. Who's talking shit? Point 'em out, and I'll slip some extra chili in their lunch. Emma laughed, despite herself. Chill. Lila, it's not worth it. I don't know if I can do this tech bridge thing. What if they're right? What if I'm out of my depth? Lila set the tray down, her hands on her hips. Girl, you're out here fixing $1 million tech while cleaning hotel rooms on the side. You're a damn superhero. Fuck what they think. And that Caleb dude, he's not looking at you like a charity case. I saw him at the front desk yesterday, asking about you. Man's got it bad. Emma's face heated up. You're full of shit. Am I? Lila grinned, nudging her. Bet you $20 he's dreaming about you right now. Go to that office, kick ass, and maybe let him take you to dinner. You deserve it. Emma shook her head, but Lila's words stuck. Maybe she wasn't a charity case. Maybe she was just enough. That evening, Emma sat at the kitchen table in their North Philly apartment, Marcus across from her, wolfing down leftover cornbread. Their mom, Diane, was at her night shift, leaving the place quiet except for the hum of the fridge and Marcus's occasional keyboard clicks. Emma stared at her laptop, open to a crash course on AI basics she'd found online. Her head hurt from terms like neural networks, but she was determined to keep up at TechBridge. Marcus glanced up, signing, "You okay? You're studying like it's finals week." She sighed, signing back, "Just trying not to look dumb at work." "This tech stuff is hard as hell," he grinned, signing, "You're not dumb. You're teaching those nerds how to do their job. That's badass." Emma's throat tightened. Marcus had always been her biggest cheerleader, but lately, she'd sensed a weight on him. "You sure you're cool with me doing this?" she asked aloud, her hands still signing. "It's taking up a lot of time. I don't want you or Mom feeling like I'm bailing." Marcus's face softened. He signed, "You've been carrying us forever." "Em, I hate that you had to drop out because of me." "You didn't make me do anything," she said, her voice firm. "I chose this. And you're going to make it worth it when you're some big-shot engineer. Right?" He laughed. "Signing deal. But you got to promise to keep kicking ass. Don't quit on this." She ruffled his hair, ignoring his protests. "Promise. Kid." But as she lay in bed later, doubt crept back. Sarah's warnings, Brittany's snide comments, James's smirk, they all swirled in her head. And then there was Caleb, his kiss still burning on her lips. She wanted to believe in him, in herself. But the fear of fucking it all up was a heavy bitch. The next day at TechBridge, Emma walked into a breakthrough. She'd spent her lunch break digging through deaf community forums, pulling clips of natural ASL conversations. When she showed them to the team, Mike's eyes lit up. "This is gold. Emma, we can retrain the model with this. Accuracy's gonna jump." Even James grudgingly nodded. "Not bad, but it's still a long shot." Caleb, standing at the whiteboard, clapped his hands. "Long shot or not. This is huge. Emma, you just saved us weeks of work. You're a goddamn rock star." The team cheered, and Emma's chest swelled with something she hadn't felt in years' pride. She caught Caleb's eye, and his smile was so damn genuine it made her want to cry. After the meeting, he called her into his office, a small, cluttered space with a view of the city. "Close the door," he said, his voice low. She did, her pulse racing. "I meant what I said out there. You're killing it. But I need to know you're in this for real. Because I'm about to ask you something big." She swallowed, leaning against the desk. "Bigger than kissing me in the middle of your office." He laughed, but his face was serious. "Yeah, bigger. We're pitching to investors in 2 weeks. I want you to present with me. Show them why this tech matters. You're the heart of this project." "Emma." Her stomach dropped. "Me." In front of a room full of rich assholes. "Caleb, I'm not that girl. I don't have a degree, or a fancy suit, or you have something better." He cut in, stepping closer. "You have lived experience. You know what this tech means for people like Marcus. That's what they need to hear." She shook her head, panic rising. "I'm not cut out for this shit. They'll eat me alive." He took her hands, his touch grounding her. "They won't, because you're not alone. I've got your back. Emma, we'll do this together. Her breath hitched. He was so close, his cologne filling her senses, his thumbs brushing her knuckles. She wanted to pull away, to run from the weight of his belief in her, but she couldn't. Instead, she nodded. Okay, I'll do it. But if I fuck it up, you're buying me pizza for a month. He grinned, his eyes crinkling. Deal. That night, Caleb texted her, "Dinner tomorrow, need to talk strategy." Emma stared at the message, her heart doing that stupid flip again. She knew it wasn't just about strategy, and the thought both thrilled and terrified her. Lila, predictably, lost her mind when Emma told her. Dinner with the hot CEO girl. You better wear something tight and make him beg. Shut up. Emma laughed, tossing a dish towel at her in the hotel kitchen. It's a work thing. Work. My ass, Lila said, dodging the towel. You're out here living a rom-com, and I'm stuck flipping burgers. If you don't jump his bones, I will. Emma rolled her eyes, but she couldn't stop smiling. The next evening, she met Caleb at a cozy Italian place downtown, her nerves a live wire. She'd borrowed a dress from Lila Black, simple, but it hugged her curves in a way that made her feel like she belonged. Caleb was already there, in a dark sweater that made his gray eyes pop. He stood when she walked in, his smile soft. You look... wow. Don't start, she said, sliding into the booth. I'm here for the free food, not your charm. He laughed, and for a while, it was easy talking about the pitch, the tech, their lives. He told her about his years as a deaf kid, the isolation that drove him to build TechBridge. She opened up about Marcus, her mom, the dreams she'd buried. By the time dessert came, the air felt different, heavier. They walked out into the cool night, the city buzzing around them, at a quiet corner. He stopped, turning to her. Emma, I need to say something. That kiss. It wasn't a mistake. I can't stop thinking about you. Her heart pounded. Caleb, we can't. You're my boss, and I'm not your kind of people. Bullshit, he said, stepping closer. You're exactly my kind of people. He kissed her then, slow and gentle, under the glow of a streetlight. Her hands found his face, and for a moment, the world disappeared. When they pulled apart, she was breathless, her voice barely a whisper. You're gonna ruin me. Morgan. Worth it, he said, his forehead against hers. Back at the hotel the next day, Emma was on cloud 9 until Sarah cornered her in the break room. I hear you're getting cozy with Mr. Morgan, she said, her tone venomous. Don't think I won't report you for fraternizing. Emma's blood ran cold, but she stood her ground. Report what I'm doing my job here and at TechBridge. If you've got a problem, take it up with someone who cares. Sarah's eyes flashed, but she backed off. Emma knew it wasn't over. Though, and then there was James, who'd started slipping her faulty data at TechBridge, setting her up to fail. She caught one error during a test run, her heart sinking. He's trying to sabotage me. As she prepared for the investor pitch, the stakes felt higher than ever. Lila and Mrs. Hall were in her corner, Hyping her up with jokes, Lila suggested imagining Sarah in a clown wig to calm her nerves, but the pressure was crushing. Emma looked at herself in the mirror, practicing her lines, and whispered, "You got this. Don't fuck it up." But deep down, she wasn't sure. The world Caleb was pulling her into was bigger, scarier, and more real than anything she'd ever faced. And with James gunning for her and Sarah breathing down her neck, she couldn't shake the feeling that it was all about to come crashing down. Emma Jackson stood backstage in the Grand Metropolitan's conference hall, her palms sweaty and her heart hammering like it was trying to break free. The room beyond the velvet curtain buzzed with the low hum of rich people, networking investors, tech moguls, the kind of folks who'd never notice her pushing a cleaning cart. Tonight, though, she wasn't invisible. She was about to step onto a stage with Caleb Morgan and pitch TechBridge Solutions AI to a room full of moneybags who could make or break the project. Her stomach churned. What the fuck am I doing here? She adjusted the blazer Lila had lent her, the fabric stiff and unfamiliar. Her braids were pulled back, and she'd even swiped on some lipstick. But she still felt like a fraud. 2 weeks ago, Caleb had dropped the bomb he wanted her to co-present at this investor pitch. She'd spent every spare minute since then practicing her lines, studying the tech, trying to sound like she belonged in a world of algorithms and venture capital. But the voice in her head, the one that sounded a lot like Sarah Chen, kept whispering, "You're out of your damn league." Caleb appeared beside her, looking annoyingly calm in his tailored suit. His gray eyes softened when he saw her. "You good?" he asked, his voice low enough that the stage crew bustling around them couldn't hear. "Good, I'm about to puke on these fancy-ass shoes," Emma muttered, tugging at her blazer. "You sure you want me up there? I'm not exactly PowerPoint Barbie." He laughed, the sound easing her nerves a fraction. "You're better than PowerPoint Barbie. You're real." "Emma, that's why they'll listen. Just tell your story, Marcus. The community. Why this tech matters. I've got the boring numbers part." She nodded, but her throat was tight. The kiss they'd shared last week, the slow, heart-melting one under the streetlight, hung between them, unspoken. They'd been tiptoeing around it, keeping things professional. But every time he looked at her like that, her resolve crumbled. "Don't let me fuck this up, Morgan," she said, half joking. "Never," he said, squeezing her shoulder. "We're in this together." The stage manager called their names, and Emma's legs felt like jelly as she followed Caleb into the spotlight. The room was packed hundreds of faces, mostly white, mostly male, all dripping with wealth. The air smelled of coffee and privilege, and the giant screen behind them glowed with the TechBridge logo. Emma gripped her note cards, her knuckles pale. Caleb started, his voice smooth and confident, laying out the tech and AI that could translate ASL in real time, affordable for families, scalable for schools and businesses. The crowd nodded along, impressed by the numbers, projected revenue, market share, all that jazz. Then he turned to Emma, his smile warm. "But this isn't just about tech. It's about people. Emma Jackson, our lead consultant, is going to show you why." She took a deep breath, stepping to the mic. 18 months ago, I was cleaning rooms in this hotel, she began, her voice shaky but clear. I learned ASL because my brother, Marcus, lost his hearing when he was 12. He's a genius. But the world doesn't always make space for people like him. This tech, it's about giving him and millions like him a voice. She signed as she spoke, her hands moving with the grace of years spent talking to Marcus. The room was silent, hanging on her words. She told them about the deaf community, the little things the AI had to get right, like regional signs, facial expressions, cultural context. This isn't just code, she said, her voice stronger now. It's connection. It's family. The crowd was with her, leaning forward, some even nodding. She felt a rush of hope. I'm doing this. I'm fucking doing this. But then James, who was seated in the front row with the tech bridge team, stood up during the Q&A. His smirk was back, sharper than ever. "Ms. Jackson," he said, his tone dripping with condescension. "Your story's inspiring. But let's talk tech. How does the AI handle dynamic gesture variations across dialects? And what's the processing latency for real-time translation?" Emma froze. The questions were technical, deliberately obscure, and she hadn't prepped for them. James had been slipping her faulty data for weeks, keeping her out of the loop on purpose. She glanced at Caleb, who looked ready to deck the guy. But she had to answer. The AI. It's trained on diverse datasets," she stammered, signing nervously. "We're still optimizing latency, but it's fast enough for conversation." James raised an eyebrow. "Fast enough? Can you quantify that milliseconds matter in this industry?" The room shifted, murmurs rippling through the crowd. Emma's face burned, her note cards useless. "I don't have exact numbers," she admitted, her voice small. "But I know it works for real people, because I've tested it with my brother." A gray-haired investor in the front row spoke up, his tone polite but cutting. "No offense, Ms. Jackson, but this is a billion-dollar industry. We need experts with credentials, not just stories. Can you assure us the tech is robust?" Her heart sank. Credentials. The word was a knife, slicing through her confidence. She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Caleb stepped in, his voice firm. "Emma's expertise comes from lived experience, which is why our AI is ahead of the competition. The technical details are in our report, and I'm happy to discuss them. But the damage was done. The crowd's energy had shifted, skepticism replacing curiosity." Emma stood there, signing nothing, feeling like she'd just proven every doubter right. "I fucked it up." The pitch ended with a polite applause, but no commitments. Backstage, Caleb pulled her aside, his face tight with anger, not at her. She knew, but at James. "You did great, Emma. That was a setup. I'm handling it." "Great," she snapped, her voice breaking. "I look like a fucking idiot up there. They don't want me. Caleb, they want someone with a degree, not a mop." "Stop," he said, his hands on her shoulders. "You reached them. I saw it. James pulled that stunt because he's threatened by you." She shook her head, tears stinging her eyes. "Maybe he's right to be. I don't belong here." She pulled away, grabbing her bag and bolting before he could stop her. Back at the hotel, Emma threw herself into her shift, scrubbing floors like her life depended on it. The familiar sting of bleach and the squeak of her sneakers grounded her, but they couldn't drown out the humiliation. She kept replaying the pitch, James's smirk, the investor's words, her own silence. "You're out of your league. Sarah Chen found her in a guest bathroom. her arms crossed like a goddamn warden. "I heard about your little presentation," Sarah said, her voice cold. Not exactly a home run. Was it Emma kept scrubbing, her jaw tight? "I'm doing my job. Ms. Chen, leave me alone." Sarah stepped closer, her heels clicking on the tile. "You're distracted." "Emma, this tech bridge nonsense is affecting your performance. I'm giving you a warning. One more slip, and you're out." Emma stood, her rag dripping water. "You're just waiting for me to fail, aren't you? Why, because I'm not some polished robot like you." Sarah's eyes flashed, but her voice stayed calm. "I'm trying to save you from yourself. Men like Morgan make promises they don't keep. You're nothing but a fling to him, and when he's done, you'll have no job, no future. Think about that." Emma's blood boiled. But Sarah's words hit too close to home. She'd heard whispers about Caleb, how he'd helped a female coder a few years back, only to cut her loose when the project ended. What if Sarah was right? What if she was just his latest pet project? She didn't respond, just went back to scrubbing. But when Sarah left, Emma sank to the floor, her back against the cold tile. She pulled out her phone, staring at Caleb's last text. "You were amazing tonight. Call me." She wanted to believe him, but the doubt was a fucking anchor, dragging her down. That night, Emma got home to find Marcus pacing the apartment, his face stormy. Their mom, Diane, was on the couch, looking frailer than usual, her insulin pump beeping softly. The air smelled of burnt toast, Marcus's attempt at dinner. Probably. "What's wrong?" Emma asked, dropping her bag. Marcus signed, his hands sharp. "Mom's sugar's been off all day. She needs a new pump, but insurance is being a bitch. And you weren't here." Guilt hit her like a truck. "I'm sorry. Marcus, I was at that pitch. It went to shit. Anyway," he softened, signing, I heard. "Lila texted me." "You okay?" She shook her head, her voice thick. "No, I fucked it up. Marcus, I thought I could do this, but I can't. Maybe Sarah's right. Maybe I should stick to what I know." Diane looked up, her eyes sharp despite her fatigue. "Don't you dare say that." "Emma Jean, you're not a quitter. You've been fighting for us your whole life. Don't stop now." Emma's throat tightened. "But what if I'm not good enough?" "Mom, what if I'm just nothing?" Marcus signed, his face fierce. "You're not nothing. You're my sister. You're why I'm not giving up. Don't you dare give up on yourself." She hugged him, tears spilling over. But the weight didn't lift. The medical bills, the hotel job, tech bridge, Caleb. It was all too much. She thought about quitting, going back to being invisible. It was safer, easier. The next morning, Emma was back at the hotel, her eyes puffy from crying. Lila found her in the break room, her usual spark dimmed. "Jesus. Emma, you look like you got hit by a bus. What happened?" Emma told her everything: the pitch, Sarah's threat, Marcus's guilt, her mom's health. "I'm done. Lila, I can't keep up. I'm not cut out for this tech shit. And Caleb, I don't know what he wants from me." Lila grabbed her shoulders, her voice fierce. Listen to me. You're not done. You're fucking Emma Jackson, the baddest bitch I know. You went up there and told your story. And yeah, it didn't go perfect. But who gives a shit? You're learning. And Caleb. That man's not playing you. I saw how he looks at you. He's in deep. Girl. Emma laughed weakly. You're delusional. Am I? Lila smirked. Bet you he's at that office right now, tearing James a new one for screwing you over. Go see him. Fight for this. Emma didn't want to, but Lila's words lit a tiny spark. She couldn't let James win. She couldn't let Sarah win. And maybe, just maybe, she couldn't let herself give up on Caleb. At Techbridge that afternoon, Emma walked in to find Caleb in a heated argument with James. You pulled that stunt on purpose, Caleb was saying, his voice low and dangerous. You set her up to fail. And I'm not having it. James shrugged, his smirk infuriating. I was testing her. She's not ready. Caleb, you know it. Emma stepped forward, her voice steady despite her nerves. Test me all you want. James, I caught your shitty data last week, and I'll catch it again. I'm not going anywhere. Caleb's eyes lit up, but James just scoffed. We'll see. As James walked out, Caleb turned to her, his face softening. You didn't have to come back today. I know last night was rough. Yeah, well, I'm not a quitter, she said, echoing her mom's words. But I need to know something. Caleb, is this real or am I just your good deed for the year? He stepped closer, his voice low. You're not a good deed, Emma. You're the best thing that's happened to this project to me in a long fucking time. Her heart raced, but before she could respond, her phone buzzed. It was a text from the hospital Diane Jackson admitted. Urgent. Emma's world tilted. I have to go, she said, her voice hollow. She ran out, leaving Caleb standing there, the pitch and everything else forgotten. Her mom was all that mattered now, and if she lost her, nothing, not Techbridge, not Caleb, would ever be enough. Emma Jackson sprinted through the sliding doors of Jefferson University Hospital, her sneakers squeaking on the polished linoleum. The sterile smell of antiseptic hit her like a punch, and the fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, making her head throb. Her phone was still clutched in her hand. The hospital's text burned into her brain. Diane Jackson admitted. Urgent. Her mom, her rock, the woman who'd raised her and Marcus through hell, was in trouble, and Emma hadn't been there. Guilt clawed at her chest, sharper than any fear she'd felt during that disastrous investor pitch. The ER was chaos nurses barking orders, patients groaning, a TV blaring some bullshit talk show in the waiting room. Emma shoved her way to the front desk, her voice shaking. I'm here for Diane Jackson. I'm her daughter. The receptionist, a tired-looking woman with a messy bun, typed something into her computer. She's in room 204, but you'll need to wait. The doctor's with her now. Wait. Emma's voice cracked. What the hell's going on? Is she okay? She's stable, the woman said, her tone flat. Diabetic complication. The doctor will update you soon. Emma wanted to scream, to demand answers, but she knew it wouldn't help. She sank into a plastic chair, her hands trembling. Marcus was on his way, but he'd be stuck on the bus for another half-hour. She was alone, and the weight of it all, her mom's health, the hotel job, Techbridge, that fucking pitch. Caleb was crushing her. She pulled out her phone, staring at Caleb's last text. "You were amazing tonight. Call me." She hadn't called. She couldn't. Not when her world was falling apart. She closed her eyes, trying to breathe. But all she could see was the investor's face, his voice cutting through her. "We need experts with credentials." And Sarah Chen, sneering, "You're nothing but a fling." And James, with his smug-ass smirk, setting her up to crash and burn. Maybe they were right. Maybe she was just a housekeeper who'd gotten too big for her britches. Her phone buzzed, snapping her out of it. A text from Lila. "At the hospital with you in spirit. Girl, you got this. Tell Diane I'm making her empanadas when she's out." Emma managed a weak smile. Lila's dumb jokes were the only thing keeping her sane right now. An hour later, Emma was allowed into room 204. Diane lay in a hospital bed, an IV dripping into her arm, her face pale but her eyes sharp. Marcus was there, sitting by her side, his hands signing furiously. "She's okay." He signed when Emma walked in. Sugar crashed, but they got it under control. Emma rushed to her mom, grabbing her hand. "Mom, you scared the shit out of me. You okay?" Diane squeezed her hand, her voice hoarse. "I'm fine. Baby. Just a bad day. This damn diabetes ain't gonna kill me yet." Emma's throat tightened. "You can't do this to me. Mom, I need you. And I need you to stop worrying," Diane said, her eyes softening. Marcus told me about that pitch. Sounds like you got knocked down, but you're my girl. You don't stay down." Emma shook her head, tears spilling over. "I fucked it up. Mom." I stood there like an idiot, and they saw right through me. "I'm not cut out for this." Marcus signed, his face fierce bullshit. "You're the only one who thinks that. You're killing it at Techbridge. Don't let some rich assholes make you feel small." Diane nodded, her grip tightening. "Listen to your brother. You've been fighting for us your whole life. Emma, this is your fight now. Don't you dare give up." Emma wiped her eyes, their words sinking in. But the hospital bill loomed in her mind, another hit they couldn't afford. She thought about quitting Techbridge, going back to the hotel full-time. It was safe, predictable, invisible. But looking at Marcus, at her mom, she knew they'd never forgive her for giving up on herself. The next morning, Emma dragged herself to the Grand Metropolitan, her eyes puffy and her body running on coffee and adrenaline. She was halfway through cleaning a suite when Mrs. June Hall found her, her arms crossed and her face unreadable. "Girl, you look like you've been through a war," June said, leaning against the doorframe. "Lila told me about your mom. She okay?" Emma nodded, folding a towel with more force than necessary. "Yeah, she's stable, but I can't keep doing this. Mrs. Hall, the hotel, Techbridge, all of it. I'm drowning." June sat on the edge of the bed, her eyes sharp. You're not drowning. You're swimming in deep water, and you're stronger than you think. I heard about that pitch, too. Sounds like that James boy set you up. Emma's jaw clenched. Yeah, he did. And Sarah's on my ass, threatening to fire me. And my mom's in the hospital, and I... Her voice broke, and she turned away, hating the tears. June stood, placing a hand on her shoulder. Listen to me, Emma. I've been in this hotel 32 years. I've seen a lot of bullshit, and I've seen a lot of brilliance. You're the latter, that Caleb Morgan didn't pick you out of pity. He saw something real. And I talked to him yesterday. Emma's head snapped up. You what? June smiled, a glint in her eye. He called me, worried about you, said he's fighting to keep you on the project, even with those investors breathing down his neck. That man sees you, Emma. Not your skin, not your job, you. The question is, are you brave enough to see it too? Emma's heart raced. Caleb was fighting for her, after she'd run out on him, after she'd bombed the pitch. What if I'm not worth fighting for? She whispered. June's voice was firm. Girl, you're worth a whole damn army. Don't let fear steal your future. Emma hugged her, the older woman's warmth grounding her. June's words were a lifeline, pulling her back from the edge. She wasn't done yet. That afternoon, Emma walked into TechBridge's office. Her head held high despite the exhaustion. The team was in a meeting, and Caleb was at the whiteboard, looking like he hadn't slept either. When he saw her, his face lit up, but he kept it professional. Emma, good to have you back. We're reviewing the pitch feedback. She nodded, taking a seat. James was there, his smirk dialed down but still present. She ignored him, focusing on Caleb's rundown. The investors were skeptical, but a few had expressed interest if the tech could prove its reliability. We need a killer demo, Caleb said. And Emma, I want you leading it. James scoffed. Her after last night. Caleb's eyes flashed. Yes, her. She's the reason we're this far. And you're on thin ice. James. So watch it. Emma's chest swelled, but doubt lingered. After the meeting, she stayed behind, catching Caleb alone. You didn't have to do that, she said, her voice low. Stick up for me like that. He turned to her, his expression fierce. Yeah, I did. You're not just some consultant, Emma. You're the heart of this, and I'm not letting anyone, James, the investors, fucking Sarah, make you think otherwise. Her throat tightened. Caleb, I need to know something. Is this real? Or am I just your good deed for the year because I heard about that coder you helped a while back, and how it ended? I can't be that girl. He stepped closer, his voice low and raw. You're not a good deed, Emma. You're the best thing that's happened to this project to me in a long fucking time. That coder. She got a better job, and I was happy for her. But you, I'm not letting you go. Not unless you want me to. Her breath caught. His eyes were intense, his cologne filling the space between them. She wanted to push him away, to protect herself, but she couldn't. Instead, she leaned in, her lips brushing his in a soft, tentative kiss. He deepened it, his hands framing her face. And for a moment, the world was just them warmth, safety, possibility. When they pulled apart, she whispered. You're gonna ruin me? Morgan. Only if you let me, he said, his forehead against hers. Back at the hotel, Emma was restocking towels when Sarah Chen appeared, her face a mask of fake concern. I heard about your mother, Sarah said. I hope she's recovering, but I need to be clear. Emma, your side project is a conflict of interest. If you don't scale back, I'll have to let you go. Emma's blood boiled. She'd had enough of Sarah's games. Let's get one thing straight. Ms. Chen, she said, stepping closer. I'm done letting you make me feel small. I'm good at my job here, and I'm damn good at TechBridge. You don't get to tell me who I am. Sarah blinked, caught off guard. For a moment, Emma saw something flicker in her eyes, regret, maybe, or recognition. You're making a mistake, Sarah said, but her voice lacked its usual venom. She walked away, leaving Emma shaking but empowered. That evening, Emma sat with Marcus in their apartment, the air smelling of Diane's cornbread, a sign her mom was feeling better. Marcus was fiddling with his laptop, his face lit up with excitement. He signed, I've got something to show you. He pulled up a demo of an app he'd been coding, an ASL learning tool that used AI to give real-time feedback. I got the idea from you, he said aloud, his voice rough from disuse. From watching you fight for this, TechBridge wants to test it. Emma's jaw dropped. You little shit. You've been holding out on me. This is incredible. He grinned, signing. Yeah. Well, I had a good teacher. You're not just my sister. Em, you're my hero. Tears stung her eyes. Marcus's app, June's words, Caleb's belief, it all clicked. She wasn't nothing. She was Emma fucking Jackson, and she was done running. The next day, Caleb called her into his office. He looked nervous, which was new. Emma, I've got a proposal. We're opening a permanent office here in Philly. I want you as Director of User Experience. Full-time, $90,000 a year, benefits, equity. You'd lead our accessibility team. Make sure everything we build works for people like Marcus. Her heart stopped. Director Caleb, don't say you're not qualified. He cut in. You've already proven it. You're the right person for this. Emma, not because I feel sorry for you, but because you're fucking brilliant. She stared at him, the weight of the offer sinking in. It was everything she'd never dared dream money to help her mom. A career that mattered, a chance to be seen, but it meant leaving the hotel, risking everything. What if I fail? She whispered. Then we'll figure it out together, he said, his voice steady. But you won't. I know you. She thought about Marcus, her mom, June, Lila. She thought about the pitch, the hospital, the years of being invisible. And she thought about Caleb, the man who saw her when no one else did. Okay, she said, her voice firm. I'm in. His face broke into a grin, and he pulled her into a hug, his arms strong and warm. Welcome to TechBridge, Director Jackson. As Emma left the office, her phone buzzed. A text from Lila heard, you got a big-ass promotion. Drinks on you. Director Emma laughed, her heart lighter than it had been in weeks. The road ahead was scary as hell. But for the first time, she felt ready. She wasn't just fighting for herself anymore. She was fighting for Marcus, for her mom, for every invisible person who deserved to be seen. The Grand Metropolitan's grand ballroom was packed to the brim, a sea of suits and dresses glittering under the crystal chandeliers. The air buzzed with anticipation, thick with the scent of champagne and ambition. On stage, Emma Jackson stood tall, her black pantsuit tailored to perfection, her braids swept into an elegant updo. She was a far cry from the housekeeper who'd scrubbed these floors a year ago. But her heart still raced like it was her first day on the job. Tonight wasn't just another pitch. It was the launch of TechBridge Solutions' game-changing AI. And Emma was the face of it. The giant screen behind her glowed with a video of Marcus, her brother, signing a joke to their mom, Diane. The AI translating his words into crystal-clear text on a tablet. The crowd investors, tech journalists, deaf community leaders watched in silence, captivated. Emma's voice was steady as she spoke, her hands signing in sync. "This isn't just tech," she said, her eyes sweeping the room. "It's a bridge between worlds. It's my brother's humor, my mom's laughter, a family connected. That's what we've built." She clicked to the next slide, showing data 92% accuracy in real-time ASL translation, tested across diverse communities. "We didn't get here with fancy degrees or billion-dollar budgets," she said, a wry smile tugging at her lips. "We got here by listening to people like Marcus, to the deaf community, to the families who need this. This AI doesn't just translate words. It carries emotion, culture, life." The room erupted in applause, louder than she'd ever heard. Emma's chest swelled, but she kept her cool, signing a quick thank you to the crowd. Her eyes found Caleb Morgan in the front row, his gray eyes shining with pride. He gave her a nod, the kind that said, "You fucking did it." She smiled back, her heart full. A year ago, she'd been invisible. Now, she was unstoppable. 1 year earlier, Emma's first day as Director of User Experience at TechBridge Solutions was a whirlwind. She'd given her 2 weeks' notice at the Grand Metropolitan, walking away from the only life she'd known. Sarah Chen had tried to guilt her into staying, muttering about loyalty. But Emma was done letting anyone clip her wings. She'd packed up her cleaning cart, hugged Mrs. June Hall, and promised Lila she'd buy her drinks for life. The hotel felt like a chapter closing, and TechBridge was a blank page terrifying. But hers to write. Her new office was small, but hers, with a nameplate that read, Emma Jackson, Director of User Experience. The first time she saw it, she'd laughed out loud, thinking, "What the fuck is my life?" But the work was real. She led a team of designers and coders, ensuring the AI understood the nuances of ASL regional signs, cultural context, even the way Marcus and his friends signed slang. She traveled to deaf community centers, met with families, and brought their feedback straight to the lab. Every day was a grind, but it was the kind that lit her up. Caleb was her anchor and her challenge. They'd agreed to keep things professional at work, but the chemistry between them was a live wire. Late nights in the office turned into stolen kisses, whispered confessions, and moments that made her heart race. He was all in. But Emma still wrestled with doubt. He was a white CEO. She was a black ex-housekeeper. Society wasn't exactly rooting for them. Whispers followed her at industry events, people assuming she was diversity hire or worse. Caleb's arm candy. She shut them up by being damn good at her job. But the sting lingered. James, the smug engineer who'd tried to sabotage her, was still a thorn in her side. Caleb had demoted him after the pitch fiasco, but James stuck around, his resentment simmering. Emma caught him cutting corners on the AI's training data once and called him out in a team meeting. "If you're gonna half-ass this, James, step aside," she'd said, her voice ice-cold. "This tech's for real people, not your ego." He'd backed off, but she knew he was waiting for her to slip. 6 months in Emma's first big test came at a tech conference in San Francisco. She and Caleb presented the AI's beta version to a room of skeptical developers. She was nervous as hell, but this time, she was ready. She'd spent months honing her skills, taking online courses in UX design and leaning on Marcus for tech tips. When a coder asked about latency, she didn't flinch. "We're at 50 milliseconds for real-time translation," she said, signing for emphasis. "Fast enough for a conversation. Not just a demo." The room clapped, and Caleb whispered, "Told you you're a rock star." That night, at the conference after-party, Caleb pulled her onto a rooftop dance floor, the city sparkling below. The music was loud, the drinks were strong, and his hands on her waist felt like home. "You were incredible today," he said, his lips close to her ear. "I'm so fucking proud of you." She grinned, swaying with him. "Yeah, well, don't get used to it. I'm still learning how to not trip over my own feet." He laughed, spinning her under the stars. "You're not tripping, Emma. You're flying." They kissed, slow and deep, the world fading away. But later, as they walked back to their hotel, a drunk tech bro made a comment loud enough for her to hear. "Guess sleeping with the boss gets you a corner office." Emma froze, her fists clenching. Caleb turned, ready to throw a punch, but she stopped him. "He's not worth it," she said, her voice steady. "I'll prove him wrong my way." And she did. The beta launch got rave reviews, with blogs calling her the heart and soul of Tech Bridge's mission. The drunk bro could eat his words. 1 year later, the launch. The day of the launch was a blur. Emma barely slept, running through her speech 100 times. Marcus and Diane were in the audience, along with Lila, June, and half the deaf community in Philly. Even Sarah Chen was there, sitting stiffly in the back. Emma had invited her, not out of spite, but because she wanted Sarah to see what she'd become. Caleb kicked off the event, his charisma lighting up the room. He introduced Emma with a warmth that made her blush. "This project wouldn't exist without Emma Jackson," he said. "She's not just our director of user experience. She's the reason this tech works for real people." Emma took the stage, her nerves fading as she spoke. She showed the crowd how the AI captured Marcus's humor, his personality, not just his words. She shared stories from beta testers, parents who could finally hear their deaf kids, teachers who used the tech in classrooms. "This is what assistive tech should do," she said, her voice ringing with conviction. "It should help us connect, not just communicate." The demo was flawless. When she played a video of Marcus signing a rap he'd written, the AI translating every lyric perfectly, the crowd lost it. A deaf activist in the front row signed, "Bravo." Tears in her eyes. Emma's own eyes stung, but she held it together, finishing with a call to action. There's talent everywhere in hotel rooms, in kitchens, in kids like my brother. We just have to see it. The applause was thunderous, shaking the chandeliers, A venture capitalist, the same gray-haired guy who doubted her a year ago, stood up. "Ms. Jackson," he said, his voice carrying over the noise. That was the most compelling demonstration of user-centered design I've seen in 20 years. This isn't just a product, it's a movement. Emma grinned, signing "thank you" as the crowd cheered again. She looked at Marcus, who was signing "You're a badass" with a goofy grin. Diane was crying, her hands clasped tight. Lila was on her feet, whistling like a lunatic, and Caleb, he was looking at her like she'd hung the damn moon. After the launch, the after-party was a blur of handshakes, champagne, and bad dance moves. Emma found herself surrounded by people who'd once ignored her investors offering funding, journalists begging for quotes, even Sarah Chen, who approached her with a tight smile. That was impressive. "Emma," Sarah said, her voice softer than usual. I was wrong about you. I should have supported you, not tried to hold you back. I'm sorry." Emma studied her, seeing genuine remorse. "We all make mistakes," she said, her tone even. "The trick is learning from them. Thanks for coming." Sarah nodded, walking away, and Emma felt a weight lift. She didn't need Sarah's approval anymore. She knew who she was. Later, she found Caleb on a balcony overlooking the city. The night was cool, the skyline glittering like a promise. He handed her a glass of champagne, his smile soft. "You were unbelievable tonight," he said. "I knew you'd kill it. But damn, Emma, you changed the game." She laughed, sipping the champagne. "Yeah, well, I had a pretty good teacher. You're not half bad. Morgan." He stepped closer, his hand brushing hers. "I'm serious. You're not just my director. You're my partner in this. In everything. I love you, Emma." Her breath caught. They danced around those words for months, afraid of what they meant. But standing there, with the city at her feet and her heart wide open, she knew. "I love you too," she said, her voice steady. "But you're still buying me pizza for a month." He laughed, pulling her into a kiss that felt like coming home. The world could judge them race, class, whatever, but they were unbreakable. 3 months later, Emma stood at a podium in the Grand Metropolitan, this time as a keynote speaker at a conference on workplace diversity. The room was packed, and her name was on the program, Emma Jackson, Director of User Experience, TechBridge Solutions. Marcus was in the audience, now a freshman in engineering school with a scholarship from TechBridge's foundation. Diane was beside him, healthier than she'd been in years, thanks to better insurance from Emma's new salary. Lila was there, her new restaurant a hit, and June, now a part-time consultant for TechBridge, was beaming like a proud mom. 18 months ago, I was cleaning rooms in this hotel. Emma began, her voice clear and strong. I was invisible not because I lacked talent, but because the system wasn't built to see me. I'm here to tell you talent's everywhere, in housekeepers, in cooks, in kids coding in their bedrooms. The question isn't where it's hiding, it's whether we're brave enough to look. She told her story, learning ASL for Marcus, dropping out of college, meeting Caleb, fighting through doubt and sabotage. She showed a clip of TechBridge's AI, now used by thousands of families. "This exists because someone saw past my job title," she said. "The companies that value lived experience over credentials. They're not just diverse, they're innovative. They're human. The applause was deafening. Emma stepped off the stage, her heart full. Marcus hugged her, signing, "You're still a shitty cook, but you're a hell of a speaker." She laughed, shoving him playfully. Later, as she and Caleb walked through the lobby, she caught her reflection in a gilded mirror. She wasn't invisible anymore. She was Emma Jackson, director, sister, daughter, partner. And she was just getting started. Epilogue. Emma and Caleb sat in a deaf community center in North Philly, watching kids test the AI with Marcus's rap video. The room was alive with laughter and signing, the air smelling of pizza and hope. Caleb's hand was in hers, his thumb tracing circles on her skin. They were a team, building a future together professionally and personally. She thought back to that day on the balcony, when she'd signed, "You okay" to a stranger. That moment had changed everything. "You ever think about how crazy this is?" she asked, her voice soft. "Me, here, with you." He smiled, his eyes crinkling. "Every damn day. And I wouldn't trade it for anything." She leaned into him, her heart steady. The silent language of possibility had spoken to her, and she'd listened. Now, she was helping others hear it too. If Emma's story lit a fire in you, join our community, subscribe, drop a comment. Tell us about a time you felt invisible and fought to be seen. Let's keep these stories alive.